It is a brand new episode of Flyers Daily for the 25th. Oh my God, 25th of July already. Flyers Daily presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories. Can you believe it's the 25th of July, buddy? You've been back on the ice well by now.
You know what? I'll make this really quick. I always tell my kids, and this is because of sports and the way school ended, I always said the summer ends after 4th of July weekend when you're a parent.
Yeah.
Oh. And because especially with younger kids when they were like that, and I always feel like here we are at the end of July, boom, we're another month before we're starting to really talk about training camp, getting going. So it flies, Jason. I understand exactly what you mean.
God, I feel like sometimes summer doesn't even start until 4th of July. That's when it ends. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of my theory on it anyhow.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And everybody's like getting back to skating and stuff. I want to get you on, talk about, what this team did this summer. Rick Tocchet, obviously the draft pick Porter Martone heading to college, a lot to get into, but let's start there with Tocchet. You've known Tock a long time, Bundy.
Yeah.
He jumps into this seat. He decides to not extend his contract and stay in Vancouver for whatever reason that is. We know that it was a bit messy there this past year, but he ends up here as the Flyers' next coach and succeeding basically John Tortorella via Brad Shaw for that interim period. Right. But what do you expect out of Tock, and how does that maybe the message isn't different, but the lips delivering the message are different?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's going to be a flavor with Rick Tocchet where he's going to be very, very demanding on guys. He's going to ask for their best and their best effort every single night. But there's also going to be a guy that's a better communicator than John Tortorella was. When you have your captain at the end of the year saying, I had no relationship with my coach at all, that's not a good thing. When they're not speaking, talking about Coots and Torts last year and Coots' end of the year comments. So, those things happen. But they shouldn't happen at a large scale, because that's really where a lot of your communication comes from, your leadership group with your coach. Tock will be fair, but he will be tough and he will be demanding. But he's going to be a guy that if you have questions and you want answers, you can go in with an open door policy, talk to him, and hopefully he'll provide the answer that you're looking for.
Yes, I mean, you saw a player like in Quinn Hughes and other guys out in Vancouver and guys that played for him in Arizona really kind of laud the way he handles players, which is why you see a guy like Christian Dvorak, who played for Tock when he was in Arizona, sign years later to come and play for him again. So to me, don't always listen to what people say, listen to what they do, and seeing players come back and play for a coach that they played for before, sometimes it is enough, is more than words.
Yeah, and a coach is always going to have players that love him, and he's going to have players that didn't care as much for him, And I'm always a believer, have a coach that you just like and you respect, But there are certain guys that will go above and beyond, and then certain players have had success for a coach in a certain place, and you remember those feelings. You remember how you were as a player at that time and how you got treated. That's what I'm referencing the Christian Dvorak when he was a younger player and Tock was there. So, those are things that you could keep in the back of your mind, but also an opportunity for him to, come in here and have recognition with a guy that he's played for before. I think it's an important thing. And I also think it's a good thing that Rick Tocchet does have the backing of a lot of the former players that played in this league that have played for Rick. They enjoyed playing for him for the most part.
Yeah. And Dvorak brings that. Well, I played for him before. I know the expectation already. You don't have to teach me the expectation. I already played for this guy. Let's talk about Porter Martone. Bundy, you went via the college route, played at Providence College many years ago. Porter Martone, it was just announced this week that he is going to go to Michigan State to continue his development toward the NHL. The option, the three of them basically for him, return to the CHL, go the college route, which he chose, or try to make the jump right to the NHL. He goes the college route. You think it's the right move for him?
I do. I absolutely do. And I know we interviewed him on Snow the Goalie talking about it during development camp, just about life stuff. It wasn't even all a ton about hockey. And at the end of the conversation, our intern Andrew was talking about Penn State because he's a Penn State alum, as are you.
Yeah, I beat the drum for him to go to Penn State too.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of excitement here locally. If he wasn't going to make the NHL, would he in fact go to Penn State? And of course, there's guys like yourself and intern Andrew that are Penn State alum that would love anybody that could make any one of their sports teams better. So that didn't play out that way. But I think for what it is, and obviously, Jason, He's a young guy, really, whether you're absolutely ready to play as an 18-year-old, it comes down to a lot of whether your team believes you can play as an 18-year-old. He has some things to work on. He's going to be a really good player, but he has some things he needs to work on. And I don't think going back and playing with 17-year-old kids, as we were kind of jabbing earlier, talking with each other before we started the show, is going to help him. Playing against older guys that are 22, 23 in some cases is going to give him the best vehicle and road in between where he's at now in the NHL to get there. And I think Michigan State is a viable option for him. I think it's a really good route. I took it. I wasn't the same hyped up player that Porter Martone was when I went to college. I wasn't the 6th overall draft pick, but I certainly got a lot out of college, and it never affected my start in my NHL career.
Yeah, some people say, Monday, you don't play enough games in college to maybe develop and compared to the CHL because you play basically on weekends, but you got a lot of work. Look, he doesn't need to put a ton of muscle on. He's already a big boy. But what he does need to work on is explosive movements, that first couple of strides, because that would have been exposed in the NHL in a big way.
Yeah, and I think that and watching development camp, seeing a lot of his stuff post draft from his junior stuff, you could see the amount of skill he has, his elusiveness with the puck. But the thing that jumped out at me right away was his first 3 steps. And his first 3 steps need to get worked on. He needs to get in there, get those quick feet going, get a jump rope, do stuff on the ice with your conditioning or your skating coach at Michigan State, and then work on those little things. And he will. He's a big guy, and he's still probably a growing entity being so young. So I think it's all going to come together for him. But that was the one thing that jumped out at me, Jason, and you are so correct. If you have a slow foot, and especially a young guy in the NHL, you're going to get exposed pretty quickly. And what happens is it's not really that they're exposing you and you're saying your team's weaker because of it. You expose the player into questioning the things that he's doing on the ice. And that's why sometimes you got to be very careful with how young a player you have on your roster, because a lot of it will come down to his personal confidence at the end of the day.
Yeah, D-men in the NHL will swallow you.
Yeah.
And that's it. You'll have no space. And you can't, and that first couple of strides, but that's how you create space in certain situations as well. Bundy, I go into the season, we have the usual question marks, goaltending, they're obvious, power play, but I have a real concern with the D-core overall. There's parts of it that I like. Cam York in a bounce back year with the new contract. We'll see if he has a bounce back year. Travis Sanheim, can he even out and have the entirety of the season like the first half he had last year when he was eventually picked for Team Canada and 4 Nations? You have Sealer and Drysdale. Does Drysdale pick up on the last third that he had last year? Ristolainen once again starts the year like he ended last year on the sideline, it looks like, and injured. He can't stay healthy. Zamola and Juleson, I'm worried about the depth of the D-core overall.
Yeah, and what Danny's done essentially is I think he's taken a look at the core, and he's saying to himself that they're going to start with what they have in terms of being concerned, because the concerns you have are right. Like, Sanheim had a brilliant start to the season, but he has to learn to either maintain that or can he get to that level for an 82 or 82 game schedule. You're clearly counting on Cam York having a bounce back year. That's absolutely something that if he does have a really good year, I think it could be an uplifting element to the team. Ristolainen had a really good year last year when he was healthy. And, it seemed to me like he gained confidence last year through the season. There are question marks. And again, it's getting to that level, the high level. And I think if you look at the Flyers defense right now, I know the goaltending is a question mark also. We'll get into that momentarily. But I think the defense has an opportunity to live up to its expectations. But there's a gamble in that it didn't all come together last year the way you wanted it to. The guys individually played great at sometimes, but it's doing it as a unit. And it's a matter of finding that gel between those players and then having those guys execute on a nightly basis. So playing defense in this league is a very difficult thing. And you have to be ready for it every single night. And really, you're the anchor of that team. I always feel the team does as well as its goaltending does sometimes, but it does as well as its defense does to defend and move the puck out of the zone to give those forwards an opportunity.
Yeah, where are we with Emil Andre and Igor Zamola? Like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Andre had a lot of promise and then kind of tailed off a little bit. And I would think that getting those NHL games, you learn. This is a big camp for him. All said and done, it's a big camp for Andre.
It's absolutely is a big camp for Andre because he's teetering on becoming a regular. And again, and if it doesn't work out here and other guys are playing better, then they'll find a place for him to play. If he's an NHL ready player, they'll find a place for him to play if it's not here in Philadelphia. But he's kind of in that land right now where I have an opportunity to do something special. So he needs to seize the opportunity. There's no more looks at development for him. He's either going to be an NHL player or he's going to be a guy that goes up and down to the AHL and NHL for the bulk of his career. And I don't think that's what the avenue he wants to take. So there's a question mark there. He's another guy, Jason. And it goes back to your last question with the defense. A lot of the players last year, we saw each of these guys play at a very high level at times.
Yeah.
At times. And I think what Danny's seeing and what I'm seeing is if they could all put it together, you might have yourself one hell of a decor. You might.
For Andre, it's poop or get off the pot.
It's now's the time because he's got to basically say, who am I? What am I going to be on a nightly basis if I'm an NHL player? And then solidify that job for your team. And he's yet to do that. They're probably still at a point asking themselves, what do we do with Emil Andre? Is a different question than asking what do we want for Emil Andre than what do we do with Emil Andre? And that's probably a little bit of the juggernaut question that the Flyers management is stuck in right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Another guy, Bundy, it's kind of one of those years where, okay, we got to even it out here now. And we got to become a little bit more consistent. Yeah, you're probably a streaky goal scorer, but some of the gaps between those streaks is a little too long in Owen Tippett. I mean, you watch the guy play, you see a big physical specimen that can fly on the ice when he's confident. He's incredibly creative, but those periods in between, it looks like a different player. It looks like an unconfident player to me. It's time for Owen Tippett to really have that breakout season. He's in his prime to even that out and really show that he can be an X factor player in this league. He's not going to be a superstar. But there's more there, but he's got to figure it out. I think it's between the years and the confidence in knowing how good he is.
Yeah. And I think part of the equation with a guy like Owen Tippett is he's really good when he's scoring and he's putting pucks in the net and he's skating. I mean, this guy's got all the talent in the world. He can fly. He's big. He's strong. He's got a great shot when he hits a net. He has all the intangibles that you want to have a power forward have in the NHL. But my question is when he's not scoring, right? How do we get a more complete player out of Owen Tippett where his
net
other
positive,
game,
right?
Right, where it doesn't regress other parts of his game because the pucks aren't going in. Listen, I don't care who you are. You could be the greatest goal scorer in the league. You're going to go through slumps as a goal scorer. And your whole feed cannot be, as a hockey player, on feeding on scoring goals. You have to find a way to learn to become a complete player. And I think that's the trick for Rick Tocchet, is to get Owen Tippett feeling good about his game, whether he's scoring goals or not, but also knowing that the goal scoring is the biggest part of his game that they do need. You need scoring. You have to have your goal scorers scoring goals in this league if you're going to succeed.
Tyson Foerster may be a young example of that, Bundy. When he wasn't scoring, and we know he was basically drafted in the first round predicated on that shot, right?
Yeah.
And he go through times when he wasn't scoring, but he wasn't net negative because he was playing the D zone, the neutral zone, winning board battles, even though he wasn't scoring, so he wasn't showing to be a net negative player at that time. But we may be starting the season without him. And that opens up some opportunity for guys. We thought maybe Martone was a guy that maybe could benefit from that. He's going to college. Alex Bump is a guy that's being talked about quite a bit. Does Bump got a shot to make this team? He's really filled out his body. I mean, he looks big now.
Yeah,
he's strong.
He's thick. He looks strong. I agree with you. Yeah, I think that's a logical play right there. And I think, watching him and seeing just a little bit of him, talking to him, he feels like he's a lot more NHL ready than a lot of the guys that have even been here already. Like he really feels like he's got a real good sense of what the league is like, an understanding of what the players are like that play here. And he has a confidence about him. That's something that, you can't teach sometimes. Talking to him, he feels like, he had a great year. He feels like he's got a chance to be an impact player in the NHL at some point, but he wants to, and at the same time, he wants to make the team out of training camp. And I think that's the most logical one. I actually thought there was a chance for both Bump and Martone until Martone decided to take the college route. But I do think that even opens a door even bigger right now for Alex Bump to make the team.
And watching Bump, I just like where he goes without the puck in the offensive zone. He doesn't go. He goes to good ice. Like, you as a defenseman, you would love when, like, I would kind of pull like something Kevin Hayes did quite often. He would just kind of pivot to really safe ice, and it was inconsequential ice. As a D-man, you're like, if you're going to hang out there, dude, I don't got to worry about you.
Yeah.
But Bump seems to migrate to really good ice and good spots even without the puck. So he's commanding attention without the puck.
Yeah, and you know what else too? I just watched a little bit of the Final Four last year, not knowing a lot about him beforehand, because they only get talked about as the big moments in hockey come. But yeah, the puck kind of follows him around a little bit too.
Yeah,
and that's another non-teachable hockey trait to have, where you make the right plays, you're doing the right thing, you're going where the puck's going to be, not where it's at. And I think that he has a knack for that, a real good knack for that. In fact,
great anticipation of the game. Zegras coming in, Bundy. We got to meet him down at draft night.
Yeah.
Drove down with his mom from New York, which is cool. He's an East Coast guy. He's going to get it here. But just talk to me about a player at 24 years of age that had some really good success, a couple of 60-plus point seasons before 22, hasn't been healthy and hasn't had the greatest last 2 years, but getting traded for the first time and getting a fresh start at 24 years of age with a bucket of skill.
Yeah, tons of talent, tons of skill. He's got the good quick stick. He's got a tricky stick. He's a good skater. You know what? I think in a lot of ways, like Jamie Drysdale, I think there was a lost few years in Anaheim where guys were not developing at the highest. And, it's one thing to get 60 some points. It's another thing of how you achieve the 60 points and doing it as a two-way hockey player, learning how to play defense as well as just putting up the points. And I think a lot of that gets lost on some teams in this league because they're either really bad and they need any players they can to kind of fill their roster. This, as you said, this is a clean slate for Trevor Zegras. It's a brand new start. And I think the luxury he's going to have is they're not going to carry any of the baggage that he's bringing from Anaheim with him. They're going to let him turn the page and say, okay, show us what you got, and we're going to try to work with you in terms of what you got and how we can make you a better player. I think it's an unbelievable move by Danny, bringing in a guy with that kind of talent, that kind of skill, but also at the same time, an opportunity to rebuild somebody that doesn't necessarily need a complete rebuild. He may just have needed a change of scenery, and that indeed may be what changes his game after all. He's going to get better coaching here. He's going to have better players around him in terms of figuring out how they want to play Flyers style hockey. And Rick Tochet's going to be a great messenger for Trevor Zegras in terms of what he's doing.
And he comes in at a time when the team's trying to ascend and get better. In Anaheim, it wasn't about that. And for players here, it wasn't about that the last couple of years. When they picked him up at the airport, Bundy, coming in from Anaheim, and he goes, all right, I'll meet you down in baggage claim. They don't worry about it. They lost your baggage from Anaheim. No baggage claim. No, that's what you tell them.
Yeah, right.
All your bags from Anaheim, they're gone. We're going to get you all fresh new stuff here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, give them everything new. But I really
do. Your luggage.
Yeah, I do feel though that really he just needs a fresh start. Let him start from scratch, like he's a new player. You've never seen him before, even though he's got a lot of high skill, and then let him go out and play his hockey game and see what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, he'll bring some excitement and there's a freshness to this team at camp. Let's get to goaltending. Sam Ersson, I don't know where we're going with Ersson just yet. I think there's something there. It's just got to all be put together. It takes a little longer for goaltenders. The Fedotov, Kolosov, Ersson pairing, tandem, whatever it was, threesome, didn't work. Sam never really got his legs under him in the beginning of last year, getting hurt, coming back, getting hurt again. Had a good stretch, but Vladar comes in now. Vladar's never played more than 30 games. What do you think of the Vladar move, and how much is having that confidence in the guys behind you as skaters matter for this team to move forward?
Yeah, I think, it's funny when I think of Dan Vladar. There's some people in Calgary that actually, excuse me, almost sneezed, Jason. It didn't happen. It almost did. Where Vladar was actually on pace to becoming perhaps an NHL starter until Wolf really kind of took that position and stapled it to himself. So, last year, Sam, I don't know if it was because of the musical goaltenders that he just never got himself feeling good about himself, but I thought he was given opportunity at times to be a better goalie than he was.
Yeah.
to me, this is an open spot. I don't look at Sam Ersson as the number one and Vladar as the 1A, or vice versa. I think this is an opportunity for one of these guys to seize the moment in training camp over the first month and a half of the season to solidify who that Rick Tocchet is going to feel better playing more often than not. So you're the goalie guy. A ton of respect for your goaltender knowledge. But again, I think right now, until we see stuff, there's going to be a question mark with the goaltenders again, based on historical evidence.
Well, I think it's awesome of what Vladar said. Whoever's playing should be the guy that's playing the best. I felt like I'm not afraid to say this at this point, but Kolosov, there was so much entitlement. I want to be in the NHL. Well, no kidding. You got to earn your way there. There was too much entitlement. Vladar comes in his press conference and goes, they ask him about playing, how many games he's going to play. And he says, if I'm playing good, if I'm playing better, I should get the crease. If he's playing better, he gets the crease. Let's make this a merit system. And that's exactly the way it should be in this. Because no guy's got this resume where it's you get it even though you're not playing well.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment. And I'm always about earning your ice time. And if you are playing good, then give yourself a chance. Vladar played pretty well for Calgary down the stretch. Gave him a chance in a couple games, or a few games actually, to try to gain some points to try to make the playoffs. But, again, it's another opportunity for Danny for their scouting. This is where your scouting really comes in. Discussions with the people in your room, in your cabinet, and saying, what do we think here? And there may be an opportunity. Maybe able to steal a guy where you're looking at 2 years ago. Remember that steal that Danny ripped off of Calgary back in the 2025 summer. So that's what you're hoping
that guy too, with what you gave up. I mean, you didn't give up much for a guy that has 2 65-point seasons already.
Yeah, right.
You see that package, you're like, that's it. That's all he had. His value was so depressed.
Who was that again, Jason? I'm sorry. Oh, Zegras, yeah.
I was stunned when I saw that. I'm like, it's a no-brainer. The other thing, Bundy, but Danny didn't give out any term. And if you go back to that press conference when Danny, Dan Hilferty, and Jonesy kind of were introduced and they kind of laid out their plan, and you go back and watch that now, you'll see that they followed that plan pretty much to a T. They don't have themselves locked in to block anybody, or also, guys like Zegras, he's in the final year. If he has a great year, you're happy to sign him. They've really followed this plan to a T. And I think people are finally seeing now that this organization is on the right path. It's hard to see that before because you just see losses. But now it looks like a team that has done things right.
Well, they're trying to do things right, and again, you have to have a belief as a group of the players that you have on your team and how they're going to come together with the coaches and so on. But again, winning in pro sports is very much a crapshoot in a lot of ways. It's all coming together. You can have a great looking team on paper, and it doesn't always happen to come together on the field or the ice. That is how you desire sometimes. So, but they have followed their formula to a T. I love the fact that they haven't given out any kind of weird 6 or 7 year contracts where you're thinking to yourself, what's going to be that player going to be like in 4 years? So I think that from that standpoint, trying to build this team patiently, methodically has worked. And I think that they're going to continue down this road.
Yeah, it's a brick by brick type build. And
yeah, it is. That's a great way that's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. As Roger Waters and Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall. Bundy, you've taken on yet another new challenge. You, Bill, and a lot of other great writers and hockey people have started Hockey Hot Stove. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Your column, Therrien's Take, fantastic. What's it been like going through that process? You guys are doing great work.
Yeah, it started last year with Bill looking to just kind of change scenery. He's Bill Meltzer, who has been a great friend to all of us over the years. And, and he asked me if I'd like to be a part of it. So I kind of helped get things up off the ground. Bill's done everything. He's our CEO and he's our leader. And it's a great site for, basically, I think the best comprehensive type of hockey follow you can find. There's articles from every team in the league. We have our own writers. We're going to have more podcasts coming, Jason, and stuff like that. So it's really, really been good. But we're giving people a lot of hockey information, and we've got a lot of subscribers that have jumped up. And we always ask anybody if you really want some of the best forums and blogs and whatever else that you want, some videos and articles, and then go to hockeyhotstove.com and subscribe to it. You get a lot of good stuff. Thanks for posting that, Jason, talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's comprehensive. Like you said, you've got the forums for fan interaction, also interaction with the writers that'll jump into the forums, which I think is awesome. That creates to me, it's a community. Like you created a community because it's full serving. You have the forums, You have the writing from guys covering teams and following teams closely, and you have podcasts. It's a full service shop. To me, I want to go to one place. I don't need to go to 9 different places to get everything I want.
No, you can go to Hockey Hot Stove and get every single thing you want. If you want to listen to your podcast, you can just turn it on. And we have a list of all kinds of them. We have a list of every team by team. You click on the Montreal Canadiens, for example, you get all the write-up on the Montreal Canadiens, things that are going on in Montreal. And we're still developing this stuff. We're still adding to it as we go. It's been a bit of a, not a slow start. It's been a fast start, but we want to get as much content and continue to building more content as much as we can to get people the best experience that they can have.
I think the most important thing is in the content business online is that every time I go, I need to see new stuff. Every time I go to Hockey Hot Stove, there's new stuff there for me to read.
Yeah.
I'm not going, I already read that, click out, I'm going. So there's a lot of great content there. Your Terrien's Take column is fantastic.
And Bill helps me with that. He helped me proofread my book. So a lot of the time, a lot of the stuff that he had from my book, I'm looking for a Terrien's Take, and he'll say, "Hey, here, what about this part? I got it out of the book in terms of just a memory for him."
And expand on it.
And expand upon what that little point was in the book. So it's made sense. And Bill's just got such a great hockey mind too, and his ability to write the way he does. So it's been great. It's always been great working with him and you. So it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, the piece you did about your draft day experience was phenomenal too. So I just want to point that out. Bill's the Ray Didinger of the Flyers.
He absolutely is. Yeah.
The Ray Didinger of the Flyers. Bundy, awesome to catch up, man. Enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll be at camp before you know it. We'll be reading hockeyhotstove.com and listen to you on Snow the Goalie as well. Thanks for doing this, man. And we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, buddy. You look great. Keep feeling better, and we'll catch up soon. Look forward to seeing you, pal.
All righty. And there he is, Chris Therien, Bundy, joining us on Flyers Daily. Hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. Enjoy the weekend. Coming up on Monday, it'll be yet another Mondays with Meltzer. So join us Monday on a brand new Flyers Daily.